Let's get this merch. Subscribe to the PDH Network. Alright, y'all see what we got going on here today. Well, check this out, man. It looked like some guys that's affiliated with Duke the Jeweler, they done ran up on Boosie's son, Tootie Raww, because they feel like Boosie knows something about what happened to Duke the Jeweler that night in Houston over a year ago, when Duke the Jeweler attended that dice game with J Prince Jr. and Boosie. And the same question still remains, and that's who sent that private invite to Duke the Jeweler for him to know about a dice game that's happening way out in Houston when he live in Chicago. So dealing with that, that's the reason why you got some guys from Chicago, some GDs, BDs, and maybe some MCs that ran up on Tootie Raww, because they feel like since Boosie is not going to come forth and tell the truth based on what really happened to Duke the Jeweler, then they'll just go at Tootie Raww. Come on, man, y'all already know how this goes. Situations like this happens all the time, where if I can't get to you, then I just get to somebody that's close to you. And again, when these guys seen Tootie Raww out and about, that's when they had to approach him, again, to see what he know. And at the same time, they wanted to see, was the jewelry that Tootie Raww was wearing, was that part of Duke the Jeweler's collection? Because word is Boosie and a couple of his affiliates, they still ran Duke the Jeweler chains. Again, I don't know if that's true, but I did have some people send me some information where they were saying that depending on what show that Boosie go to, or dealing with whatever city Boosie performs in, he may come out with a Duke the Jeweler chain, or something from Duke the Jeweler's collection that was stolen when he got sent up out in Houston, attending that private event with J Prince Jr. and Boosie. But again, in order for Duke to know about any functions that's happening in Houston, somebody had to DM him the information to let him know of the location and also other information pertaining to that private event. But again, we know somebody sent that invite. Now, I know y'all heard when J Prince Jr. Now, I know y'all seen an interview with J Prince Jr. He was even questioned about Duke the Jeweler. What did J Prince Jr. say? He basically said, hey man, I ain't got nothing to do with Duke the Jeweler. When I pulled up to Boosie's private event, Duke, he was already in there. He was already shooting dice with Boosie's entourage. Again, this is what J Prince Jr. said. So basically, J Prince Jr. is saying he ain't know Duke. That was his first time meeting him. But then you flip it to Boosie, where a lot of folks in Chicago, they already know that Duke the Jeweler, he attended a Boosie event in Chicago a couple years back. So a lot of folks want to know, why is Boosie saying he never seen Duke the Jeweler before? And the first time that Duke the Jeweler seen Boosie in Chicago at his event, that's when Duke the Jeweler approached Boosie talking about the jewelry game. So with Duke being the smart businessman, he knew that Boosie loved to purchase jewelry. That's the reason why he approached him the first time he seen him in Chicago, years before they met up again in Houston. So when Duke the Jeweler is now in Houston, where he done bought over $2 million worth of jewelry with him, that's when he gets sent up? You mean to tell me Duke was able to survive the streets of Chicago, but he got sent up, taking a trip out to H-Town? Come on, man. Y'all can tell somebody sent that man. And y'all can tell somebody set folks up. And that's what his family is really trying to get down to. Again, not too many people knew that Duke was a jeweler in the first place. And the reason being because it's not too many black jewelers out there, especially somebody that's under the age of 30. Duke and his family, they had to be making some real moves in order to put themselves in that situation. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, because you got Duke's family. They still want to know, why haven't nobody been arrested and no other information has came out pertaining to what happened to Duke the Jeweler out in H-Town? Again, the family, the friends, and some other affiliates that was cool with Duke the Jeweler, they really want to know what happened. And they want to know again, why haven't nobody been arrested? If these people did everything in their power to make sure that Takeoff situation was taken care of, then Duke family want to know, why haven't they did the same thing for him? Hey, rest in peace to Takeoff and condolences to his family. Matter of fact, while y'all at it, go ahead and drop those rockets in the comments. It's a sad situation to know that Duke the Jeweler and Takeoff gets sent up being invited out to these private events with J. Prince Jr. and the mob ties? My opinion dealing with that is, I feel like somebody's hiding something. I feel like it was more hands involved in taking out Duke the Jeweler than what we think it really is. Because this really don't make no sense. I mean, come on, man. Y'all could have just took the jewelry and let folks live. Y'all ain't had to put a couple shells in him and leave him out there stranded like that. But I still want to know who knew what vehicle that Duke the Jeweler was riding in order to pull up on him, send some shells at him, and take his jewelry in the first place. Like I said, man, if y'all really wanted the man's jewelry, y'all could have took it without taking him out. So with that, let's pay our respects and say rest in peace to Duke the Jeweler, condolences to his family, and much love to all my folks in Chicago. See, again, you got a lot of folks in Chicago, they still heated towards Boosie and J. Prince Jr. Well, mostly Boosie, because you got some guys that feel like Boosie affiliates was the ones that sent Duke the Jeweler that invite. But since Duke got sent up attending that private event and never made it back home to Chicago, that's when Boosie felt like, hey man, I'm not finna tell these guys it was one of my homeboys that sent Duke the Jeweler that private invite. I'ma just let the people know that he pulled up on his own time. When again, we all know that's not true. Because it's so many events that's happening in Houston that somebody would personally have to send you an invite. And that's how it goes. I know you had some guys in the comments who really don't attend private events like that saying, hey man, you could just walk up to a private event and they'll let you in. I don't know what kind of functions y'all attended, but trust me, that was not a private event. A private event is only dealing with a small circle of people that was personally handpicked. So what I'm saying is Duke, he was personally handpicked in order to come out to Houston to show these guys the jewelry that he had customized. And again, that's the reason why in that Louis Vuitton bag, Duke the Jeweler, he had over $2 million worth of jewelry in there. And again, only a small amount of people knew that. Because like I stated before, not too many people knew that Duke was a jeweler in the first place. So the people want to know, what does Boosie have to do with this? If y'all not paying attention, Boosie's name is involved in a lot of activity right now. And that's dealing with street activity, some situations going on with his family, dealing with the back and forth that he had with his daughter and with his brother. And also the back and forth that Boosie had with his artist, Young Blue. And not just that, you still got folks talking about Boosie using some youngsters in order to carry out his criminal activity. And that's the same thing some guys feel like that Boosie did to Duke the Jeweler, where they saying that Boosie may have hired a couple young cats that's out from Houston to follow Duke while he was out there, where they could find a way to snatch and grab Duke jewelry without connecting it back to Boosie or J. Prince Jr. But check this out. The only place where they could get at Duke the Jeweler, where it won't seem like Boosie or J. Prince Jr. was actually involved in it, was getting Duke where he was by himself. Again, they had to wait for a very specific time in order to get to Duke the Jeweler. So that's the reason why the perfect time to get to Duke was catching him walking through the parking garage. But again, the same question still remains. And that's, who knew that Duke was going to be by himself at that point in time? I'm pretty sure I know, but what's y'all thoughts? Y'all let me know in the comments. And again, so since Boosie or J. Prince Jr. is not telling the truth based around who sent Duke the Jeweler that private invite, and also why have none of them been investigated based around what happened to Duke the Jeweler? And this is something that Duke the Jeweler family is speaking on, because they even understand it's bigger than what we all really think it is. We have to do a better job at uplifting and respecting one another. So with that, always be aware and always stay prepared. But hey, we got more in store. As always, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it's worth. Let's get this merch. Subscribe to the PDH Network.